Good morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
All right, welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. If you listened to the show last week, Kaleo's here with me, and we actually ran out of time, and we were still deep into our conversations about health plans and unusual situations. So we're going to continue that conversation. So we're going to probably kind of recap a little bit here and go back to Kaleo talked about one of the programs she has, because she has the Blue Cross plan, and they have what they call Blue 365, which has a lot of discounts and perks like that we were talking about dental and vision insurance. In her case, she didn't really need extra vision coverage because with the discounts that she gets with that plan made up for not paying extra for a vision plan. And we talked about, and AM Better has a similar situation. They do have a debit card that they issue, and it's a rewards program, and some of it is, I think actually, I don't know how they do it tracking food, but if you use it for a gym membership, or you use it to, like to pay your dues at gym membership, or you go and get your annual checkup, or maybe go to the dentist, things like that, and record it. And they'll reward you for doing the healthy things, because if you're doing those things, it's going to cost you less in the long run. One of the biggest things we've been dealing a lot with, though, lately, and I think we talked about it on a recent show, is fraud. And there's a lot of unscrupulous. I think they've kind of cracked down on it. You shouldn't see too many of the ads, but they're advertising that you're going to get a $500 gift card. Well, it's not a gift card. It's a debit card, and you earn the $500 for doing the different things instead. It's not just, hey, you sign up for this plan, you get the gift card. So people, they'll, I can get a $500 gift card if I call this number, and then they find out their switch. And unfortunately, a lot of times they find out their switch when they go to the doctor, and they say your insurance is not valid because they have the card, and you mentioned they have a lot of, zero premium plans. So sometimes what these unscrupulous agents will do is they'll switch somebody to another plan, and based on income, or they'll even, they're committing fraud. They'll lower the person's income to get a zero premium on the plan, because if money's not coming out of your checking account, you don't miss it. Right. And you don't realize you've been signed up on another plan. So that's one of the ways they've done that. I talked about I think it might have been on not the last show, but the last show before Clea was with. Bree spent over 2 hours on the phone with the marketplace, and her client had gotten switched like that. They were told they could get a free food card. Another one, they were doing ads of, you can get $6,400 cash back. Well, yeah, if you add up what the premiums of that plan are versus you getting the tax credit, you might, over the year, you might be saving $6,400. But no one's sending you a check for $6,400 because you signed up for a certain health plan. None of them.
But they know
they don't pay us that much to sign you up on it. They're not going to pay you that to get on the plan.
Right. But they know how to word it. They know how, they have a target audience, in Bree's case, that, a couple weeks ago, she found out when she was about to go in for heart surgery. I mean, she's 2 weeks away from having heart surgery, and then she finds out, her plan is not good anymore, and she had this excellent plan, and they've signed her up for an AM Better $0 plan. And
nothing wrong with that plan, but there was network issues there that she'd already set up, and that was one of the reasons why she didn't go with that plan. Was we put her on the plan that works for her network. And you mentioning that's kind of like the case we had yesterday that had set an appointment, and then they decided, and they just went through the marketplace and did it themselves. And you can do that. We're not saying you can't do it, but there's certain things people will pick on a plan, and they'll pick the wrong plan because they don't know what we know about those plans.
Yeah. And another thing that I'm a big advocate, when I see it happen online, I'm the person that goes in the comments and I'm like, yeah, please don't do that. So many people, whenever they post on Facebook or whatever, hey, I need somebody to help me with the insurance, I'm losing insurance, et cetera, there will be 15, 20 comments where everybody's like, just do it yourself on the marketplace. Okay, that's fine. But when you do it yourself on the marketplace, not only are you going in blindly with no knowledge, you're also going in not knowing maybe what terms are, what the difference between a deductible and a max out of pocket are, not realizing that your drugs may not be covered. Mm-hmm. So our services are free. Just use us.
Right. And that's one thing we try to stress. Like she said, our services are free. We do not charge for our service. We legally cannot charge.
Right.
We get paid by the insurance company. And it doesn't affect what you're paying. It doesn't like, oh, if you do it yourself, you're going to save $20 a month because we're not getting paid $20 a month to sign you up. No. And that's what we get. We don't get a lot for signing you up on a health plan in the marketplace, but we do get that small commission, but it doesn't affect what you're paying. But sometimes when you got a question and you can't seem to get that question answered by the insurance company, or you're on hold for an hour before somebody actually answers, a lot of times we know the answer to your question and can handle that for you. Or sometimes we can call, I hate to do it, but we could be the one on hold with the insurance company because you're at work. You maybe can't be on hold. You call on your break, nobody answers, and so then you have to try again at lunch, and then you have to try after work. And, you can call us, and we can get your answer, text you, email you, or talk to you after you get off work and tell you what the solution was. So that's one of the things you get with us. The other is, and I'm going to have to use company name here because we've talked about networks. So sometimes some plans aren't the strongest in a certain area. One of the things that a lot of people I know probably get themselves in a bind with, and they did when we first started the ACA back in 2014, is Blue Cross. Blue Cross is a great company, and everybody's like, hey, I need Blue Cross. Everybody takes Blue Cross. Mm-hmm. It may cost a little bit more, but everybody takes Blue Cross. You get in the metro areas like Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis. I can't remember if Chattanooga does or not. I don't think they do. They have other networks that are not the Blue Cross standard network. In the Knoxville area, it's the L network. They call it limited. I think Nashville and Memphis both use what's called the E network, which stands for exchange. You could only get that plan through the healthcare marketplace. They did that back when they first started back in 2014. And I say 2014. 2013 is when people were signing up for ACA, but it started January of 2014 is when people actually were on the plans. Blue Cross had an E network. They had their E network, they had their S network, they had the P network. And the letters, when you're looking at the numbers of their plans, like it may be S24S or B16L, that L stands for limited. The letter at the beginning of the ID with Blue Cross, they're pretty easy to understand. It's what metal level they are. The bronze, silver, gold is just kind of like the Olympics. Gold is going to be considered better. It's not necessarily better, but it's going to have lower cost sharing. Your deductible is going to be less. Your copays are less. Max out of pocket should be less, but you're paying a lot more for it because you're paying for the gold. Mm-hmm. Same thing with silver. And in the bronze, you're going to pay a lot less for the bronze, but the bronze, you're going to have a lot more cost sharing. You may not have any copays. You maybe have to meet a high deductible before it covers anything. And then people get mad. It doesn't cover anything. Well, no, it covers everything. But there's a certain amount you have to pay before it pays. Right. You have a massive car wreck and you end up in the ICU and you had $7,000, $8,000 to $9,000 out of pocket for a $150,000 insurance bill. That was really good insurance. It covered a lot versus you end up in that hospital and you didn't have any insurance. So it's good to have something. But what happened was people would look at these plans and they're looking at them. They look the same. The name kind of looks the same. Why would I pay more for this plan? This plan here is this much per month and it's Blue Cross. Why would I get this other Blue Cross that's $150 more a month? Because they didn't look at the network.
Right.
And my experience of living in East Tennessee, I deal with it a little bit more with my East Tennessee clients. We don't do a lot with Nashville clients. We stay pretty local, but I still, have a lot of people that I still help. I still get referrals for people back in the Knoxville area. In Knoxville, that E-network is pretty good. But the downside of it is the only hospital that's in network in the Knoxville area with the E-network is UT Medical. Downtown South Knoxville, if you live in where most of my clients were in Roane County and Harriman, Roane Medical is a Covenant hospital. Mm-hmm. It's not a network. They're in network with Blue Cross, but the S network. And the thing with the networks, P stood for preferred. Back when this all started, most employer group plans were P network because the P network was the one that, hey, if they needed to see a specialist out of state, it usually would transfer across the state lines. The S network pretty much does now. They don't even offer a P network on the marketplace. Some employer plans may still go with the P network, and somebody does what we call an off exchange plan where they're just going to pay. They're not going to get any tax subsidy and they buy it straight from Blue Cross. They might still be able to get a P network. But again, kind of like I said with the gold, you're not really getting more coverage, but you're paying more to have a larger network. So because the plan would be exactly the same. The number was the same. It was just that letter on the end that changed.
Right.
And so the plan covers the same. The cost sharing is exactly the same, but your premium's different based on the network level, and you can't go to just anybody. And I'm not going to name names. In this case, we actually have an office here in town now that's part of a large medical group in the Knoxville area. They don't take the E-network. When Marketplace first started, they didn't take the S network. That was a big thing in 2014 and it switched to 2015 was people that got the Blue Cross S network couldn't go to this major health group and they couldn't go to Covenant hospitals. It wasn't until 2015 that they accepted the S network. So that network is really key. That's what you get. That's the expertise you get from us, that we know about the networks. We know why one plan might work better. And sometimes, a lot of times, an Ambetter or United might be a better fit for you than the Blue Cross just based on what
your
prescription
locations.
to take.
Yeah.
Or your doctor's in network with this plan, and this plan's a little bit less than that other plan, and everything else is equal. Hey, if you're saving $30 a month, your doctor's in network, and maybe even a lower max out of pocket, that could be a great plan. Or your doctor's in network, and you have one prescription that this company either doesn't cover it or doesn't cover it favorably. It's going to cost you more. So you have a double savings of you can get your prescription for less. So that comes into play. I've had people pick plans that their primary doctor didn't take, but it was such a difference in premium that they're like, hey, I only see him like maybe twice a year. Even if I pay cash for that appointment, it's still going to cost me less than if I pay the other plan. It's more per month.
Yeah, I had one back at the end of last year where her primary care wasn't covered, but her drugs were covered better. So she, ultimately decided that was the way to go. And I think that's one thing that sets us apart, from doing it yourself or even calling into the Marketplace is that's one of the first things that we ask you. Aside from just your basic information, what drugs are you on? What needs to be covered on this plan?
Yeah.
What are you comfortable with spending? Not only monthly, but if a huge accident was to occur.
Right.
Not everybody's asking those questions.
Right. You mentioned that. And a lot of times people are a little resistant when you say, what are you willing to spend? I used to sell cars, so I know that, hey, what payment are you, what's the payment you're looking for? Because if you get that payment, then okay, I can show them these cars because they'll be able to make the payment versus, I got to stay with the lower end. We're not trying to do that to say, oh, we're gonna get you that Cadillac Gold plan because you're willing to pay a little bit more. We want to make sure, what are you comfortable with on that deductible? Not just your monthly premium, but if you did go in the hospital, how much are you comfortable? Now, one of the things I'll tell people between like the bronze, silver, and gold. Now, the silver, Kalia mentioned, actually, I think it might have been last show, about the cost sharing reduction on the silver plans. So based on your income, that silver plan, even if you're paying $100 a month, it's still going to be a lot better value than a zero premium bronze plan. It might even have some copays because your deductible is going to be a lot less if you go in the hospital, things like that. The other thing is the difference, again, but your monthly premium from bronze, silver to gold goes up quite a bit. We have supplemental plans that will fill those gaps that, hey, if you have an accident, you get cancer, you have a heart attack, and now you're in the hospital, that will make up those deductibles for a lot less than going up gold on your deductible. And guess what? Those plans they're not part of your health plan. So you can keep those plans. Even if you go back and get an employer, they'll still go with it. So it's like, and those rates generally don't go up. Sometimes they'll go up after several years, but generally those rates don't go up. They don't go up every year, guarantee that. So we're on the break, against the break here, and we'll come back and I'm going to throw Kalia a curveball.
Highway 70 Barbecue is open and ready to serve you the best barbecue in town. Homemade sauce and juicy barbecue that falls right off the bone. Come on out and have lunch or dinner with us, serving up all your favorite mouth-watering plates with all the fixins, fish dinners, and more. Highway 70 Barbecue, open Thursday through Saturday, 10:30 to 8, and check out our daily lunch specials each day. Highway 70 Barbecue, just head down 70 towards Baxter and look for the pink pig on the roof.
Ah, the wonderful sound of rain.
Not when it's pouring into your basement or crawl space. Help!
Water leaks lead to foundation problems that hurt the value of your home with damage to your personal property, or worse, moisture breeds dangerous molds. Barrier Waterproofing Systems provide lifetime waterproofing solutions that keep the rain out and your home value in. Call 931-303-3033 or log on to tnbasementwaterproofing.com. At Barrier Waterproofing Systems, we make it dry, guaranteed.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? Join the Putnam County Sheriff's Office as a corrections deputy. With competitive pay ranging from $38,000 to $58,000, yearly step raises, and great benefits like health insurance and retirement options. This is a career you won't want to miss out on. Apply now at putnamcountytnsheriff.gov and start your journey towards a rewarding and fulfilling career in law enforcement. Don't wait. Make a difference today.
And now, back to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance, hosted by Matt Libby.
All right, and we're back. As I mentioned before we went to break, I'm going to throw Kalia a curveball because we're going to diverge from health insurance and get a little personal here. We've said this before on the show, but a lot of people, our listeners, may not realize that Kalia also has an alter ego. Where she is Mrs. Putnam County Fair, and we're kind of coming up on the end of that here pretty soon, and so you'll have to relinquish that crown. And I just thought, that's why I said I'm going to throw you a curveball. What kind of emotions are you going through and thoughts on that? Because that pageant should be coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, end of July. Also, I personally will tell y'all, let's do it. Let's have fun. They are also adding an elite category this year for like 60 plus for women.
Oh, wow.
Super cool. Can't wait to like help some grandmas get ready. That's going to be awesome. But a lot of emotions. We weren't expecting to have another baby right off the bat. So spending most of my reign pregnant, it's kind of,
it's a good thing she has that Mrs. instead of Miss in her title, right?
So, and my biggest emotion at the moment is giving up the title means that I'm like a month away from having the baby. Mm-hmm. And, I have a little calendar on my desk. I don't know if you've noticed, but I keep scratching off the days until the baby gets here. And I look at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like super close.
Yeah.
And then I received a text message last week from the director. She was like, hey, fair duties are coming back up. We're getting into the end of things. And I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Like we're about to have another baby. We're about to be a family of 5. But biggest emotion currently is just realizing that it's that close. And then also, with it being that close, is Grayson going to stay baking for long enough for me to give up my title?
Yeah.
It's about a month away, about right at a month between my due date and the end of, the pageant. And so I keep telling everybody, I'll be there as long as I'm not in active labor. So as long as he can stay until the day after, whatever, we'll make it work.
Right.
But a lot of crazy emotions come with things like that, but it's definitely a mixture of all the things at the moment.
And speaking of the pageants, you also have a little side hustle there.
Yeah, I do. Do hair and makeup on the side. I started it before I started insurance, so it just kind of became the thing that I enjoyed, and a hobby became a nice way to, make a little money. It's nice for, maternity leave and things like that when I'm not going to be selling insurance.
Yeah.
So it is nice to be able to have a little bit of extra passive income. Mm-hmm. My husband tells me that's not passive income. That is pageant money for the kids, and that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
My money that I make in pageants goes right back to the kids competing in pageants.
Well, the good news, you mentioned passive, because that's actually not passive income, because you actually have to do something to get the money.
Right.
But actually, your commissions on health insurance, as long as those policies are still paying those commissions, so there's your passive income.
Right.
So that's the beauty of being an insurance agent. So if anybody's listening and is thinking that they maybe would like to try out that route of, looking, and there's a couple different ways we can help you with that. If maybe you just want to do like kind of part-time, that's kind of what Tracy's doing. Tracy still has a full-time job, but she's working some evenings and Saturdays because long story on how she got it, but she got a license, and then her shift changed with her job, and she wasn't going to be able to do the part-time job with the insurance license she was going to do. So she contacted me and said, hey, I've got a health and life insurance license. Can you use that? So she's doing that. So maybe that's what you might want to do. We're coming up on the enrollment season. I always tell people from October to December, we're really busy. The rest of the year we have to work.
Basically.
Because it's doing things like this radio show, doing events. Like I recently started doing bingo at the senior center. Some of those different things to get our name out there in advertising and things like that. So we're working at that. We do those kind of things to try to drum up business during the off year, because the enrollment season, we don't really have much time to think. It's just answer the phone, run the appointment, and take the next one, which is great come January when we actually get paid on those plans.
Right. October through December is always that weird period too, where you're like, I'm so busy and it's not reflecting on my paycheck.
Right.
It's not reflecting until January, and then come January, you're like, maybe I can, do a little something and reward myself for all those busy days.
And the other thing with the Medicare, which you haven't experienced that yet, is they'll do an advance commission, especially like the Medicare Advantage plan. So you get a nice lump sum in January, and you're thinking, okay, I've got a lot more money coming in this year, and I can expand this part of advertising or do that. And it's like, no, I need to divide it out because February and March aren't going to be as big a check as January was. So that's something to kind of count in. So one of the questions, and you had advance notice on this, so we're going to switch back into the insurance here, but I wanted to get in about the pageant before we ran out of time. What solution were you able to come up with somebody that you didn't think you were going to have a solution? Did you have one that really surprised you that, I was able to solve this issue and turned out pretty well?
The case that we had a couple weeks ago where the guy had lost his employer coverage. We were able to get him coverage, and then all these letters start coming in from child support.
Oh, yeah.
The letters are coming in from child support. He wanting to know why it's not reflecting the same way that it was reflecting before, and he's confused. And honestly, I think all of us were stumped at some of the letters he was and it was just a matter
because the policy he had was canceled,
right?
And so he just needed to update. You helped him update the proof,
those things. But in the first moments of that's a really if you've never dealt with that, what in the world are we supposed to do? And touching back onto that's what we're here for. We're agents. That's, that is what you get with getting an agent. We were able to help him contact child support and contact the correct people to fix, what he needed to. But that was a very rough situation for a couple days where nobody really knew what was going on. We didn't really know what he needed, what we were expecting or anything like that. So it's nice when you get to find solutions for things after the policies were as well.
Now, one of the things, and this goes back to the situation that Bree had, and this case that Kalia had too, also, is people get notices in the mail, or they get it doesn't dawn on them because we're so used to doing email and FaceTime, instant communications now, that we don't think about the fact that
snail
mail. Yeah. You got it in the mail, but didn't we take care of that? And it's like, that was 3 days ago.
Right. It was posted.
But this thing was probably mailed over a week ago.
Right.
And I get that across the board. People go, I got this letter. My insurance is canceled. Yeah. Remember that was what we fixed?
Right.
Or got to do this. No, we did that. The letter was just in the marketplace. I hate what they'll do because I don't know if it's not as bad as it was or just we're doing a better job of warning our clients, is if you haven't got it already, in the next few minutes, you're going to get an email that's telling you, urgent, take this next step and pick a plan. We did that.
Right.
But it's because of the process. We've done the quotes, we figured out because our quoting tools will tell us what their tax subsidy should be. And again, it's an estimate. I always try to tell people because sometimes it can fluctuate. I think the most I've seen it change is $5. Or sometimes when we get in and in putting in their income and we divide out what exactly it is, and maybe we rounded some numbers off because they're getting $1,303 a month in Social Security and we had just used $1,300 a month.
Right.
Well, that $1,303 puts their income up now $36 more a year, and that might be just enough to push you into the next bracket where you're getting $5 or $20 less a month tax credit. So it's an estimate, but we've done all that. But then we have to go through and do the eligibility application. That's what you're doing if you go to the marketplace. You're applying for the approval to get insurance. You're not applying for the insurance at that point.
You're applying for the tax credit.
You're applying for the tax credit, or you're applying for the special enrollment. If it's not open enrollment. But either way, you're proving your eligibility to enroll. Then you pick a plan, and in their eyes, they're looking. Then you select your plan. Now, we've already pre-selected the plan because we knew what kind of tax credit you were going to get, but we haven't enrolled in that plan yet. And for whatever reason, their system doesn't go, okay, they've done their eligibility. If they don't enroll in a plan within 30 minutes or an hour, we send this email. No, it immediately sends that email out. The other thing that frustrates me on the marketplace is you go to the marketplace, you think you're doing a government website, somehow, even though you've done that, that's when your phone starts ringing off the hook because you've done, even though you did on the government website. That shouldn't happen, but it does. So that's the thing that's a little irritating. We can't stop the calls. The thing I always say, if you don't recognize the number, don't answer it. To let it go to if it's important. If it's important, they'll leave a voicemail.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing is, or you can say, I've got an agent. Kalia's already taken care of me. Mm-hmm. I don't need your help. No, I don't want your free food card that doesn't exist.
Right.
Take me off your list. And I don't even know if that even really works. I heard somebody say something the other day because we're about to run out of time. They said, when the phone rings, don't just say hello. Listen and see if somebody starts talking right away, or if you can kind of hear the buzz of a call center in the background, you can just hang up. Because if you don't say anything, that computer a lot of times will take that it's not a working line, and the system will stop dialing. You say anything, they know they've got a live person, and they'll call you back again from a different number.
Right.
So it's like if you can kind of hold off, if it's an unknown number, just kind of don't say hello right away. See if somebody's there. See if, and sometimes it's a robocall.
Yeah. We do it in the office too. If it looks like a suspicious number or it says
suspected
spam, we're taking a second before we answer just so that we can see.
Yeah. And the other thing is, a lot of times some of them will start, recording right away. It's a robocall. Don't say anything. Just hang up and then block the number.
Yeah.
You can block the number after you hang up, but don't say anything. The other thing is, they say, can you hear me okay? Don't say yes. Say, I can hear you. Don't answer yes to calls from people you don't know who they are, because they will record those. That happened to me in a job I had several years ago, that I answered yes to some questions, and they said they were just verifying the address of where I worked. Well, but because they had me saying yes, I had said yes, they could advertise us in something.
Yeah, they snipped the
legal department got that done. They're like, don't do that again. I was like, I was just answering their questions. Like, yes, all I was doing was verifying the phone number and the address is what I thought I was doing.
Answer selectively.
Yeah. So anyway, we're out of time. But anyway, until next time, we'll see you on the radio. And go to insurancematchmaking.com if you got ideas for the show, and let us know. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.